15 love.
Good free-spirited start there. I think for the young guys watching Tsitsipas play, his natural go after the ball and be aggressive and try and make something happen. I think it's given them a little bit of courage that that's how you have to play to beat the big boys. Not exactly that exact style, but you must redline it. You must go after your shots.
Game, Nadal. First game.
And as Rafa likes to do, he likes to give them this really long image on the returner serve. When you step up and you look up, you see Rafa way back behind the baseline, so it actually says, oh, shall I hit that slider? Or do I try and go through him down the middle? Just throws up a few challenges.
30-15.
They've never met in a professional tournament, but they have hit together before, once famously a number of years ago at Roland Garros.
What he won't shy away from, the young American, is he will not shy away from the power that comes off the Nadal racket. He's good enough and he needs to use his athleticism to stand there and absorb it. I like that serve when Rafa's all the way back. Pitch, the slider, if you get it right, you know you're going to get a chip return back. So from there you can get very aggressive like he has there.
It's the right play. Just got to execute it, and that is certainly a lot harder to do on the court than it is talk about off it. But big into the forehands work well for a number of players over the years. It's constant pressure in your mind, isn't it? And it's not imaginary. It's there and it's real. You've got to keep being perfect. Just for the moment, Tiafoe unable to do so. First break point for Nadal.
Word, please.
Forehand down the line from the Spaniard.
Nadal leads 2 games to love. First
And
set.
it was Petch, and it was a great game. And this is what he does. He actually turns up, and there's no givens here for Nadal. Look at the aggressiveness there. His bicep nearly knocked himself out in the chin.
There's a man after your own heart, Rog.
Oh, gee. Oh, well, mine actually gets him with the chin. Rafa's a bit, yeah, they've liked it. Great start. Physical. And if you make a few mistakes, a few unforced errors, he's there to capitalise. He just did that. And Petra, I've watched a couple of Frances's matches, and that second serve is a bit of it. It's not his weapon yet. It can be a bigger serve. That one on break point was 136. It was a little kicker. Doesn't really have a massive amount of location. Against someone like Rafa, you need it. You've got to have something better than that.
Love.
I'm actually not sure whether taking Rafa's second serve is a great idea that far inside the baseline, because if you don't collect it totally cleanly, he's actually going to get you going backwards.
Yeah, I think you've got to really go after it. You're actually trying to almost end the point with that shot. It's not a rally. It's not about getting in there and putting a little bit of pressure on.
Cain. Nadal.
This is sensational from the Spaniard. 3-love.
Nadal leads 3 games to love. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Sit quickly, the players are ready. Love.
Here's the total distance for the tournament. You can see Frances is 2 kilometres more.
30 love.
He's also played 67 more individual games than his opponent. And when you get to this stage of the tournament, Petch, it's
40 love.
taxing. It's not, yes, physical, but the mental battle, of the absorbing mental battle as well.
Game, Tiafoe.
Yeah, there's no question. And he said in his previous match when he kept getting the trainer out
Nadal
against Dimitrov,
3 games to 1.
he was just trying to survive at that stage. There's some massively important part of pickle juice that helps you from stopping cramping, which is what he was taking generally with the tournament hat.
No.
But it was that. And also know that he's been eating, like a lot of players do, Tiafoe, at the same restaurant here in Melbourne pretty much every night. He's got into one of those kind of
routine modes.
Yeah.
When you're winning.
Superstitions.
The minute you lose, you go, this is such bad food. I had to put up with that for a week and a half.
So the one thing they've been working on is the speed through the court. I want to just read what Francisco Roig has said about the change of serve. He said it's based on 3 pillars. The first is that when he executes the swing, he takes his hand away from the ball quicker instead of letting his hand linger, which I assume is his right hand.
Yep.
He pulls it down a bit quicker. He just got a taste of the bounce that Rafa can put on a ball. That absolutely detonated off the court, and Tiafoe was trying to catch up with it. Second thing here is that he's working on staying more upright. So when he lands, his head's more upright, looking over the net and using his size rather than launching into the serve by twisting and recoiling. They said that recoiling actually, they felt, resulted in a reduction of power after the ball bounced.
Thank you.
Aussies are always happy when somebody catches a ball. It's too good. Great vision, saw what was coming, slipped it past the American. And the last thing they're working on is to plant his right foot in the court upon landing from his serve. So, I mean, subtle changes, but they've been significant. Brave to make those sort of changes as a coach, Roger, that you are?
40-15.
Yeah, if they're not radical, you know, I think what they're asking, they were just searching for. They're searching for, and when you say what you're searching for just, you know, it's a 1% change, which may be the difference. And then if it's a bit mental as well, you think you're getting some value out of that. That's worthwhile.
There's a lot of game there. He is not just about a serve, forehand and running. His net game is up there.
4 games to 1.
That's one of the best in the men's. It's 4-1, Rafa.
Love. Love.
Ask and you will receive, but only at the end of this game. Let's just see whether Tiafoe can hang on here for another service game. Certainly looks like it. It looks to me, I've never played with Frances, obviously, on the other side, but it looks to me like quite a tough serve to read. It's so quick.
Yeah, it's a different serve to read. He's got the ball toss a little lower as well. That ball toss used to be a fraction higher, but he's shortened the ball toss.
Let's go. Interesting return there from Rafa. Certainly didn't look as though he was
Nadal leads 4 games to 2.
too worried about getting a second break there. Let's just take a look as we see Cain in the front of the row there, who's in charge of the USA performance. Trina Adams, of course, who was the former president of the USTA. It's now Patrick Galbraith, who used to play doubles. You asked about numbers. Okay, so Tennis Australia kindly given them to me. 2017, he was averaging 178 kilometers an hour. 2018, 183. This year, he has been averaging 188. So significant uptick on the serve, especially from 2017. You then asked me about the US Open back in 2010, which was obviously a big talking point. It was actually when Jack Nicklaus spoke to Uncle Tony and said, learn to hit it hard and then control it. And they actually went to slightly more of a forehand grip. He averaged 192 throughout that tournament at the US Open in 2010. Averaged 6 aces a match back then. By 2016, it was back down to 175 in New York and just 2 aces a match.
Great movement. Okay, which one? So, what do you prefer? Do you prefer the average of 6 aces a match?
Well, it seems to make sense.
Yeah, I'd rather my player go after their first serve.
Well, he made 65% of his first serves in 2010 as well.
Yeah. And when I say go after, it's not every ball's flat and hard, but...
That's the logic behind the service change as well. They said they need him to play shorter points at this stage of his career. He's got to get, you can't just keep grinding the points out. It's working for him. Worked back in 2010. It's always been a bit of a mystery to all of us why he changed so much. Fastest serve, incidentally, at the US Open in 2010 from Rafael was 135 miles an hour, 217 Ks. By 2016, he was only mustering 126 miles an hour.
And I'm not sure if he's top 200 here so far. I've done 3 of his matches, and I don't think I've seen, or 2 of his matches, I don't think I've seen a 200-kilometre serve. First round, he managed to nick one. First 2 rounds, actually, 204 and 204 were his fastest, but still significantly down from those numbers at the US Open. He's been averaging, though, pretty much 6 a match again in aces.
Cain.
Good, crisp, clean hitting from Nadal.
New ball
And he's
squeeze.
looked untroubled so far tonight. 5-2,
Nadal leads
first
5 games
set.
to 2. First set. Love 15.
Nadal, as everybody knows, such a impressive teenager in terms of where he was with his game and his wins.
First service.
Also the same, but not obviously quite in the same league as Nadal, but was the best junior in America by the time he was 16.
15.
His humble beginnings. And again, as everybody knows, his journey from his parents coming from Sierra Leone, getting fortunate in the green card lottery at the US run, to his father becoming a maintenance man at the club and showing his work ethic, putting the roof on. But it was Frances who himself, at the end of group sessions, would grab a bucket of balls on his own and just take them out there and start serving. And he was very, very motivated at a very young age. When he went to stay with his coach at that stage, when he was sort of around 9 years old, he would always flick on the tennis channel and be watching players try shots like that.
30.
Huge capacity to learn.
Yeah, this is great exposure for him because he's going to gain so much from just being in this environment. There's just no let off.
40-13.
I like that he's, he was 3-love down, but I like the fact that he's steadied a little bit. Pitch. Rafa's made a couple of unforced errors, but they're going to come. There's no doubt, because Rafa will keep pushing. He'll want to actually stamp his authority physically as well on the match.
Cain, Tiafoe.
You get a sense that Rafa's really trying to hit the ball hard tonight as well.
Nadal leads.
I don't know if that's all just about trying to win this match, or whether it's already with one eye to the semis, where he knows he's got to take Tsitsipas's time away.
He probably feels comfortable out here at the moment, so yeah, he does go after the ball a little bit bigger. This is virtually a little bit the way he practices on the practice court, because if you practice against Rafa for the first time, you feel his full force, and he generally is accelerating the ball at another 5 to 10 RPMs, I mean kilometres an hour, quicker. He belts the ball in practice.
Guess the right way.
15.
But he also does this when he played Alex de Minaur at Wimbledon this year. He came out and just bullied him and just continually bullied. He wanted to feel like there was no, he was just relentless. He's the big guy. I'm sure he's trying to do the same here.
Halt. Out. 15-0.
His father at top right, Carlos Costa, of course, wonderful player in his own right. Top left. Carlos Moya has really taken to this coaching role as well. Milos Raonic prior to...
Wouldn't be that hard, would it? Just,
Thank you, ladies and
your
gentlemen.
pupil's going to get out there and just give everything. Great environment. What a
he knew
joy.
it from the other side of the net as well, didn't he?
Left
Yeah.
for service.
Not only did they grow up playing in Mallorca, but he took a beating from the hands of Rafa as well.
Frances, good. I like the way he moved
30,
forward
15.
though. Hard to be too cute unless you're in a perfect position.
Martin Blackman at the back right there, of course, in charge of player development at the USTA. Americans have got a good unit at the moment, good unity as well. I'm going to say it's been fostered a lot by Patrick McEnroe, who kind of started it, and Frances talking about how they all went out for dinner together prior to the tournament and chatting and reminiscing about Orange Bowl days gone past, but this is the present, and Nadal at the moment is too strong. Set points. still in its infancy, his career, but he's a big-time player, and he's got a big-time problem on his hand.
Love it.
At times I feel on his backhand in particular, it's a fairly linear shot. He likes to play straight and
very flat.
Yeah, and I'm not sure there's got enough pace on it to really extract softer shots from Rafa.
Whips.
I think that's exactly what you're saying there, because if he hasn't got the margins exactly right, that ball goes out by 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah, it was
when he's forcing.
What was he, 3 feet inside the baseline? He lost that distance down the line, and he lost it about that distance over the baseline.
I'd like to see him serve volley this out wide, something different.
Zach Everton, his travel coach and hitting partner. And the flip side of not having a backhand that can maybe hurt Rafa is it puts so much pressure on your strength that you've got to produce all the time. So 3 early breakpoint chances for the Spaniard. Anticipation and excellence in equal measure. And he duly breaks.
First game, second set.
Yeah, needs a high percentage of first serves, doesn't he? He's not finding those, and he's also making unforced errors off pretty simple balls at this stage of the tournament, Petch. You know, you'll get crucified here, because this isn't the first round. This is actually, you know, when you're in a quarterfinal and you're playing one of the best we've ever seen, it's not an unforced error tennis match. You need to play a tennis match where there's high volume winners, limited unforced errors, real quality.
So tough to formulate a plan against the great players. I mean, they do have that luxury of knowing when they step out on court, their best is generally better than anything else that you can produce. You have to adapt to their style. Oh boy, let's hope Frances doesn't see that.
You want to take to the 2.8%?
Well, that's my English O-level result, so I'll have it.
You've come a long way.
Be at least 3% then.
15-11.
Well, you know you've got a problem when you're guessing on Rafa's first serve.
Yeah, and I don't think you should be doing that. I don't think you need to do that. There's the aces. He's up to 6 now, so that was his average we were talking about back when he won the US Open.
Game Nadal. Nadal leads 2 games to love, second set.
What do you say to him, Petch? You've got 30 seconds with Frances right now.
I think you've got to serve and volley. I think you've actually got to I think you've got to serve big into his forehand because he does get a bit more whip on it, and then just try, and it will be more central on the deuce side. I think go tee on the back and then just try and get your forehand into play as your +1 and rip it. I genuinely think he's got to play casino tennis now.
Yeah.
Just like that. His +1 has got to go up 5 to 8 miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly like that. If he gets his first serve in and there's a flighted ball back, step in, smother it, but go after it. What do you got to lose? No point having a 6-3, 6-2, 6-2 tennis match. Where you haven't changed the flow, tried anything. I need to learn a little bit now. This is just purely education. This type of tennis isn't going to win it. We can see that. Got to be a bit ambitious.
The guy is so good. He is of a legendary status, isn't he? Look at this. He was going the wrong way, Roger.
Is Kenny Rosewall in the house or not? I'd say Ken Rosewall, who had an unbelievable slice, would have just clapped that one.
I remember asking Andy Murray one time after he lost to Rafa at the US Open, could you have served and volleyed a bit more? And he's like, yeah, it probably looks like you could have done from where you were sitting. It's a fair point,
yeah,
because we talk about trying to change it up, but he does seem to come up with something every time.
Oh. No, well, he actually sits back, and if you don't quite get it right, he gets across and you use that double fister, and you think, oh, you've got time, but it's a powerful shot. But I just think it's worthwhile because you need to make him step closer to the baseline. It's all about changing his thinking, because at the moment he's in a comfortable returning position. You're not shifting that, and I think you've got to try and shift it.
And you never know. The fact that he came in just may have caught Rafa's eye there, and maybe that's why he's elicited a missed return, one of the few so far in this match.
You may lose 3 or 4 points, but you might get something at the back end.
Let's go. Game to four.
Bit of traction in the second for Tiafoe. Lots to ponder though.
Nadal leads 2 games to 1.
Lots to work out.
And by 1. Love 15.
He's got the first point here. Let's see if he can get an aggressive mindset here if the ball's in play. Need him to put some legitimate pressure off the back of the court here if the ball is in a neutral rally position.
Okay, he's got someone to work with here.
So, Petch, that was an unforced error from Rafa, went for it. So, again, ball's in play. If it's neutral, Frances has to go after it. He's got to turn it into love 40 and not wait for love 40 because Rafa, he'll control the point.
Interesting second serve, Roger.
Went to the forehand. He was taking away the forward movement because Frances likes to step in and actually use his double hander, so he went out there. Is that what you thought?
Yeah, it's a tough ball for a righty to collect, isn't it? Cleanly on your strings. That lefty serve into your forehand on the due side, one of the hardest. And he put a lot of pace on it, 167. He's been averaging just under 160 for the night. Back to basics and a very, very conservative serve as well.
Yep, that ball needed to go into play.
Smart though, isn't it? Just to keep varying your first serve speeds as well. It takes away your timing. You're fishing for it a little bit early when it comes in 20k slower than some of the other ones. Constantly computing all the possibilities. He wins the arm wrestle. Not often you do that against Nadal.
Yeah, he matched him. He stayed strong on his baseline. He accelerated the ball. And this is what he did after a lot of points. So far throughout the course of the tournament, the fist was up, looked at his box. He's feeling it.
A rare occurrence, break point on Rafa's serve. It's lovely to watch Rafa over the years, the evolution. When he first started out, he used to serve a lot of T serves on the ad side to get the ball central, get his forehand into play. He's gone through periods where he served a lot of body as well, and then against Tiafoe, there just swinging it out nicely to the weaker side.
And it wasn't big, 166. He's backing the rest of his game in if the ball does get back into play.
Advantage Tiafoe. Mr. Tiafoe challenged the call on the right baseline. The ball was called out.
Well out.
Deuce. Mr. Tiafoe has 2 challenges remaining. Advantage, Nadal.
Well, by my reckoning, Rafa hasn't been broken since 5-3 in the third against James Duckworth in the opening round. I make this his 47th consecutive hold. If he holds, and another wayward ground stroke. Just those stats alone would suggest that this service motion change certainly hasn't been a case of 2 steps backwards, 1 step forward. This has been 3 steps straight forward for the Spaniard. Particularly when you look at people like Alex Di Mineur, Thomas Burdick, you would kind of feel as though they'd be carving out a few breakpoint opportunities.
Yeah.
Light for service.
I was with him as well. I thought it might have been wide. We'll see if we can find that out. But I like the play from Tiafoe because you've got to use your backhand down the line. You've got to try and cut it off the baseline and see if you can actually spread the court when you get the opportunity. So he's doing a good job of holding the court. And we hear that was exactly out. So Raf had a good eye there.
His anticipation, like all great players, is so good. In fact, he overran it. He was there so early. Had to improvise on the backhand. Tiafoe threw everything at that.
And a lot better points, though. This is the style we want to see. Use your athleticism. Lost that one. Use your athleticism. Step in on the court if you can. Go after it.
There's a sense in his box that this is the chance. The chance he needed to take, he was unable to. Nadal survives on serve.
Nadal leads 3-1. Second set.
Pitch in 2005 when Leighton made a run to the final here and lost in 4 to Safin, which I'm still distraught about. But we played Rafa early in the draw. I think it was the 3rd round, young Rafa, and I was sort of blown away by what he was doing. But my biggest thing was to Leighton all the time against Rafa was that he had to cut the court off on the backhand side and actually not take backward steps. Otherwise, he gets pushed and he spreads his distance from A to B, and then Rafa exposes you.
15 love.
The first set was 7-6, I think. And he was looking at me and he was cramping in the calves, Leighton, because he had to get up high on his toes to smother the ball, that bouncing ball that was coming at him. So that's the physical challenge that he makes you get involved in. But I feel like it's your only way home. Oh, he couldn't out-hit him, obviously, so he needed to take a little bit of time. But for Frances as well, he can actually get physical.
Rafa's investing very little into this game.
Game to
he got equal in terms of the return.
3-2, second set. And by 1
love
set.
hold. 3-2 Nadal with a break.
Love 15.
And yeah, they're chocolate coated, but they'd be buzzing if they win and say, yeah, that was fantastic. Bad miss by Rafa. That little piece of Dave, I'm sorry, but I don't see how it could do anything. Someone please prove me wrong.
Well,
15 all.
I won't get sidetracked for too long, but it's actually true. When I was working with Andy, we went to a sports science place and they said to eat the quantity, oh, that was actually in, by the way, incidentally, if any of you were feeling that it was a bit closer than it was called. But it's an illusion.
30,
He's got you exactly where he wants you. You better go in there with pace, because he's coming at you with pace and control. Just to finish that thought on the food and what the players eat. Yeah, they basically said you need to eat, I forget what it was, half a mile of a banana to actually get some nutritional value from it. It's all about just making you feel like you've got something in your stomach and everything else. Rafa holds, incidentally, for those eagle-eyed looking at the way that Rafa is playing compared to his previous round against Thomas Berdych. You'll have noticed that he's been exactly the same off the forehand side with speed, 126 kilometers an hour, but he has ramped it up on the backhand by 16 kilometers from 99 up to 115. It's spectacular how he can make that kind of adjustment. Nice to have that in reserve.
Yeah. And you're right, Coach, that's a calculated decision. They would have discussed that and said that we're going to go after your backhand here tonight. And they might have been projecting ahead. And the beauty with Rafa is he can always dial it back. Amuses me when people talk about his return position and everything else, and then you see the quality of that return, the height over the net and the bounce your opponent has to face with their +1 shot. That's why it does it. It's a sick return. If you're on the ground level watching that, you're going, oh my goodness. It's like an avalanche coming at you.
Mr. Nadal is a call on the right baseline.
Pretty sure it is.
You never know with Rafa's balls. It just dips and dive bombs toward the line.
(30-15). Mr. Nadal has 2 challenges remaining.
Needs more of those. Against Rafa to beat him over 5, you need to have a big ace count.
Game. Tiafoe. New balls, please.
Good fight being shown by Frances.
Nadal leads 4-3, second set.
Good tussle this second set. How good was the return?
Great
15
return,
love.
good comeback as well. But then it hurt him, that forehand he went cross court to Rafa, was too spinny. Needs to get a little more aggressive with his forehand side. Yes, he penetrates through the court flat with his backhand. We'll see a little bit more action off the forehand.
Humidity in some ways with these balls. I know he's got new balls at the moment, but is that a good thing for players against Rafa? Do they fluff up a bit? We always talk about how it's actually better at Roland Garros to be a cold, wet day rather than it being hot where the ball's bouncing through the court.
Takes away his liveliness, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it definitely is a plus for the opposition.
30-15.
Even if they like it lively as well, I'd rather negate Rafa's liveliness. I think it's a lot more damaging. That's what I want.
30-all.
Inside the baseline, every time it gets to your backhand, use your athleticism, go forward and smother. Doing a good job of it right here. Great serve. Straight down the tee, sliding away, 182. Even if it was a step across, he would not have covered that ball. He's looking at himself in the...
Cain. Nadal.
You know,
he was looking at the clock, Rafa, Petch, but he's also looking, he was on the big screens, you can't see it, but
Nadal
he was
leads
also up
5
there.
games to 3.
It
Second
can be
set.
quite,
Can you ask me for the stringer, please?
can be interesting.
Both.
At the back outside, on Alpha Wing.
Just going to get some rackets taken to the stringer.
Sending to for Nadal, please. Same tension.
same tension as you can hear, not changing it because he feels any different, just in case this match does go longer. But again, I love the way that he just thinks the permutations about where to serve. We saw him serve a big second at 30-all into Tiafoe's forehand, and the previous time he served from that end. This time he goes big down the tee, both sides. He's just setting Tiafoe up, isn't he? For if there's another break point, I could go tee, but probably more than likely going to go wide. But you have to cover it.
Does not let you get into any returning rhythm. Finish here.
15 all.
The one thing we didn't mention about Rafa's serve while we're on it is I don't think he's changed his stance, his standing position across the baseline much throughout the course of his career.
Just that
Most
one
on the
year.
forehand. Just that one.
The one on the ad.
Yep.
When he was trying to counter Novak's backhand return into his forehand. I actually think kind of a byproduct of that, and it was successful, that he started hitting his backhand as his +1 much better. For those of you who don't know, back in like 2015, he took a wide stance on the outside, even at the Open that year, even on the hard courts, and didn't really work out for him, if we're being honest. But the +1 was huge against Del Potro when he won in 2017, because he had to use his backhand to beat Del Po in the semi. suffocating intensity.
And this will be a good area of the court for Tiafoe to improve the forward half of the court, because he's going to grow a bigger game and he's got the athleticism, and if he uses that part of the court, there's going to be more ways of winning points.
Yeah.
30-40.
Well, we said the +1 was going to be important to stay even close as this match has unfolded, and he's hit an absolute gem there, Tiafoe. He's got a lovely creativity and fearlessness about his game. It's very attractive. Can he save a second set point? Yes, he can.
Into the call on the right, so the ball was called in.
Rafa's a long way back behind the baseline. It's a long way to see it. No call from the umpire. Either generally spectacularly good with these type of calls. Tonight is no different.
Use. Mr. Nadal has one challenge remaining.
What do you reckon the
Advantage, Nadal.
percentage of times one of the big four in the course of their career chipped a return like that and it's landed within half a metre of the baseline?
Be pretty high.
I mean, I want to say about 80%.
Yeah.
I mean, they barely miss it.
Yep.
And yet it looks like they're right at end of range. Third set point.
Use.
They want to wrap this up, don't they? Missed it.
That was a nice little nuance introduced by Tiafoe there. That was unexpected. Certainly not constrained by normal convention in terms of the way that he plays this game.
Let's go!
Well held. Good spirit.
Nadal leads 5-4, second set, and by 1 set to love.
That's a great first point.
15-11.
Strong into the forehand of the American, but how often is Nadal also prepared to come forward and finish play at the net on big points? That was a big one, the opening of this game here while he's serving it out.
Love.
Usually so clinical in these situations. That's why at 5-3 against James Duckworth, it was surprising that he did lose his serve. But tonight he's looking as though he's going to make sure that he captures the 2 sets to love lead.
Cancel check.
I don't need to see how good that was. It's just gonna,
Yeah.
it's just gonna frighten me even more.
Exactly. That was brilliant.
It was a brilliant forehand, wasn't it? I love the way he just stands and watches it. He almost looks around a lamppost as well as he's looking at it, doesn't he? The joy and the genius of watching Rafael Nadal. You never tire of it.
Nadal leads by 2 sets to 11.
Couple of sets to the good. Only twice in his life he's lost from this situation. Rafa, of course.
Thank you,
Nadal
ladies
in
and gentlemen.
Miami in a different decade. And of course, Fabio Fognini a couple of years ago at the US Open. Had a few scars from his battles with the inspirational Italian.
Love 15.
To be fair to Tiafoe, he elevated his play in that second set. He really did. He pushed Nadal a lot harder than the opening one, but where does he go from here?
Yeah, you sit down, your 2 sets to love down. Okay, I've got 3 to play. Oh no, I haven't. I need to get to 3, to the third one. Oh, this is when it'd be great to actually be able to interview the person at the 2 sets to love down. What are you thinking?
You know, and not just because they're going to give you like a strategy that the player's going to hear, but just as you say, their thoughts. I know I've got to change something, and you can kind of look for it, or they like.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like I'm just trying to stay alive out here. I'm trying to win points. You know, the great players when they're in these positions, they navigate their way out of it. You know, there's actually a process they're trying to put in play. When you're young and you're going through this, it's a little different.
15-13.
I think, as you say, Roger, he's got one fundamental flaw at the moment, which he will fix, I believe, but it's the forecourt. Like, how does he get up there and trying to change it? And against Nadal and Novak and Andy and Roger, it's probably the hardest challenge. But even to get his career into the top 10, he's going to have to be more proficient up there.
Yeah, well, he's athletic and he doesn't mind moving forward. Goodness me.
15-14.
That was staggering. That you could just see from where we were, Petra. He's just working him over, and this was the beauty. You got to paint in that shot. No one should own that shot. And how about the touch? It's not just the power.
So good to watch.
And you should stand up and clap that.
Tip of the cap to
30-14.
Tiafoe, though, for producing that kind of tennis from Nadal as well, extracting it from him. You have to play some serious tennis to make him hit those kind of shots. And that's a nice little recovery and reset after that point from Tiafoe to make the serve out wide. Has he got another one?
Game, Nadal.
Can't criticise him. He had to take it
First
on.
game, third set.
And to convert that opportunity to save the break point when you're already down 2 sets to love with Nadal in this frame of mind, you can't explain just how difficult that is.
Love.
The problem with Tiafoe is that he doesn't have that big serve, huge serve, so he can't get any free access to a lot of points really. So if you're looking at the matchup, looking ahead, It's completely different, isn't it? The tennis game is going to be played on completely different than what we're watching here tonight.
30-love. $40-love.
Collected that one. Of course, the first men's semi, Roger, will be on Thursday night, won't it? It's at 7:30 in the evening here in Melbourne. Does that help or hinder if we assume Rafa's going to take on Tsitsipas there, having watched tonight under the lights?
I don't think it has any difference.
Yep.
No, I don't think so. It's just an occasion. You're thinking?
Game Nadal. Nadal leads 2 games to love. Third set.
Roger talked about it afterwards, saying that the ball's obviously new manufacturer this year. He felt it played a bit slower at night than it had done in the past. Maybe that's something to do with the weather conditions, as you have highlighted. Does it stay and skip a bit lower? I'm not sure. Tsitsipas certainly looked pretty decent in that match the other night. He's adjusted to all types of conditions.
Well.
15-love.
Yeah, I think the energy of a semi-finals, just everything that comes with, you know, you can't determine what that does to the player.
30-love.
That's the way. Just got to smack the hammer down.
Nadal leads 2 games to 1, third set, and by 2 sets to love.
Well, it's been a nice time to be a Spanish fan, hasn't it? In fact, to be honest, throw back to the start of the 90s. It's been a pretty nice time to be following tennis in Spain. So many great champions coming out of that particular nation. May have a few years in the wilderness coming up, but right now, still able to enjoy the back end of most big tournaments.
15-love.
And they've taught you, if you've gone into the system, you've made your way on the tour, it's a non-negotiable what you're meant to give if you're a Spanish player, because what was always in front of you were these relentless working types. And not just journeymen, they were world #1s, they were Grand Slam champions. It showed you the pathway if you wanted to be part of the Spanish circus that travelled around the world. Love it.
30 love.
Your Brugueras of this world, your Moyes, your Juan Carlos Ferreira, your Alex Correchas.
They just keep going.
Yeah. Beresategi. But just as you say, absolutely built out of the same cut of cloth, weren't they?
Not sure if he meant it that short. Did a few actually against Grigor in his match, a couple against Kevin Anderson. 2 matches that I was fortunate enough to be commentating on.
Just picked his spot. Back the fact that the tennis ball moves faster than a human being, and he was right that time. Of course, you do have to factor in anticipation in this sport. Tiafoe not a million miles away.
Game Nadal.
Got the anticipation wrong that time,
Nadal
and it was
leads
slipped
3 games to 1.
effortlessly past him.
He's got it. He hit that shot. He can step up, and Roy likes taking it on the rise. Have we seen one serve volley point played by the American?
Well, the one he did, and he hit the slice back out pass.
Yeah.
Kind of decided that was a bad idea.
Thirty 15.
It's okay.
30 all.
At the moment, you stayed the course on the baseline. Unforced errors 32-22, so we're expecting that those numbers would be around that, where they were heavily tilted towards Frances. Big moment for him, being out here.
And that's why Nadal generally puts so much height on the return, because when he hits it like that, it just comes right where an opponent wants it, at the right height, at the right pace, just redirects.
Let for service.
Let's go.
Game.
Is that the right attitude? Is that the right energy? At the moment, he's just not quite as good as his opponent.
Nadal leads 3 games to 2, third set, and by 2 sets to love.
And I know for a fact,
Laver
Rafa,
team.
I know when he won his first French Open, come straight down to Wimbledon, and their first hit on the grass went for an hour and a half, and an hour of that was at the net. Uncle Tony was like pushing him. Leighton and I were practicing on the court next, and I said to Leighton, I said, have a look at how much time he's spending at the net. And I said, that's
15.
them understanding that he needs to be good here to win the championship and improve this area of the court. It was great vision.
Thirty 15.
And these great players have never stopped for 1 minute looking for ways to keep moving the bar a little higher. If I said to you, Petch, would Rafa 5 years ago on clay beat Rafa now on clay? It's an interesting conversation, isn't it?
Excuse me, I was just eating. That was very interesting. Unquestionably, he would beat him. I mean, the data.
Cain. Nadal. New balls, please.
The data absolutely backs up the fact that he is a
Nadal
better player
leads
now
4 games to 2. Third set.
than he was 5 years ago at Roland Garros. And right now, he's you sense closing in on peak Nadal here in Australia as well.
Laver team.
It's always it's always an interesting conversation. Past versus present when you're talking about the greats. That's good strength stepping it up. And it would, you know, it's different if we're talking about Rafa at 1 and right now he's 40 in the world. Well, that's an obvious given. But now that he's still at the top end of the game, it's a good discussion.
Come on, Frances! Come on, Francisco!
Trouble here. Good hitting from Rafa.
15,
really
13.
going for it. Like the way Tiafoe came back there and challenged his stronger, bigger opponent. Missed the pass.
Just looking back at what you were asking there about Roland Garros, just looking back at some of the stats that I had from his win in 2017 in Roland Garros. It's quite frightening.
Throws that ball
15,
up in the air.
14.
Challenges you. Okay, you haven't said anything. You're obviously too scared to speak. Can you get it out on the pitch?
No, just that he had the highest ever average second serve speed at the French that year than he's ever had at any of his Roland Garros. Joint highest percentage of second serves returned, joint highest percentage of returns made, highest ever average first serve return speed and second serve speed, highest ever forehand speed, backhand speed. I mean, he's a better player now,
Game Nadal.
and he was phenomenal when he hit the scene all the way back in 2005. Just
Nadal
backs up your
leads
point.
5 games to
They
2,
never,
third set.
ever stand still,
And by
these
2
great
sets
players.
to love.
He wants to add another one to that tally because he would become the only player in the Open era that would have won every major multiple times. Of course, the only title that is currently lacking from his particular trophy cabinet is the World Tour Finals. Andre Agassi, of course, the only player that's managed to win all 4 majors, the Davis Cup and the World Tour Finals. And the Olympic gold.
15 love.
There was a few in singles. There was a few Federer fans already tapping on their keyboards. And a few Djokovic ones as well.
30 love.
They've got reason to smile. They would have enjoyed this in the Nadal camp. Not a lot of tension sitting in there. There is, but they can relax.
Let her service. Don't you
love that shot? I mean, there's so much that I admire about his game. But the shot where he's actually falling backwards and he sends the ball forward like that is just wonderful. And it brings up a couple of match points. Attached to a tennis ball tonight for Nadal.
6-2.
Respect for Frances from Rafa at the net. He knows how hard it is to make this stage of a Grand Slam. Don't underestimate what the American has achieved here in Melbourne. He just ran into one of the game's best ever.